Holy hell, you look shitty.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Barely News Crew. I'm your host here, as always, Alexis, and I'm joined here by Kyle Lira, all the way from Red Spotlight Studios. It's just a skip and a hop away.
Yeah.
And we're talking...
Quite literally. I mean, I live just, a couple blocks away, man.
Exactly. We're talking about Season 6 of The Walking Dead. Of course, Walking Dead is one of the biggest shows on television. We're huge fans of this show.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man.
And the main story of Season 6 is really jumping off Season 5. You have the first half focusing on Rick... the dictatorship, obviously, co-leading Alexandria with Deanna.
Yeah.
And it's kind of bringing the Alexandrians up to speed while also dealing with the threat of the wolves. And as the season progresses, obviously the Alexandrians mentally check in and they actually...
they're actually doing shit.
Exactly. I think one of the biggest themes this season is just how little the group, or our survivors, know of how many threats are out there. You had not only they brought back the Walker threat in a big way, which I really love.
I mean that season 6 opener with that canyon of walkers and all that. I thought that was freaking amazing.
That first season opener to begin with, I love the use of black and white.
Yeah,
for the past and how we're out in the present.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if the entire series was done in black and white like that.
In terms of specifications, or I guess in terms of color gradients or whatever, this was the most beautifully shot season of the series.
Yeah, I mean, everything was cinematic. I mean, you look at all the detail that they put into this season.
I really want to commend Season 6 of The Walking Dead because they did something that for the past couple of seasons they haven't been the best at. And I really felt that Season 6 as a whole was their best season in giving the best time to all of their characters.
Yeah.
I think every single character of this cast, and it's a huge cast, had their moment. And when you think about just how difficult that is, I'm telling you, in Season 5, especially towards that second half, a lot of the characters are kind of like forced into the background. But a lot of them, I'm talking about Tara, Eugene, introducing Denise, like these background characters really had their time to shine, which I really love.
Gabriel, Father Gabriel, man, he stepped up a whole notch, and I respect him now. With a
machete and everything.
It's quite a jump from going from the most hated character to being one of the most liked.
Yeah.
And I think he's kind of like, I'm not comparing him to the great Daryl Dixon here, but I think that, during the first season, everybody hated fucking Daryl, but then all of a sudden they stepped it up a notch, and now Daryl is like, a saint, and
it's one of the masterful things this show does is like they completely misdirect you with characters, especially with Father Gabriel. He had great moments where his attitude is really just inspiring, actually, and then when he shot that guy as he was saying a prayer, that was pretty badass for Gabriel.
That was pretty badass, just saying, hearing him say like I guess it was the funeral prayer, the standard funeral prayer, as he
was assaulting and murdering
someone. Then he was all that stuff, he's still grounded in his religious roots, but just seeing him saying that God has granted us this this ability of of survival, and so now he has that understanding that that now he's caught up to speed with all the other survivors.
I guess we have to go to the elephant in the room, Glenn. So he died, but then not really.
Yeah.
How do we feel about that overall?
At first I was pissed, but then I understood it. Making the survivors feel a little bit more secluded. That they can't see everything that's going on.
Right.
And I think that's kind of a foreshadowing of what's going on. That they don't know shit.
That sequence where he was apparently eaten by walkers.
Yeah.
That was gut-wrenching. And remember how the internet was reacting when that episode
aired? And then all of a sudden some whack jobs, obsessive Walking Dead fans like this, if you slow it down a little bit.
They were right.
You could see him kind of hiding underneath the trash can, but they were right.
He had a big story arc with him dying, then surviving. And then his story with Enid, and then with Maggie being pregnant.
That was like one of those, wow, they're really going there kind of moments.
Well, that was the whole reason, from the writer's point of view, that they wanted to make it appear as if Glenn had been killed, because they wanted to capture Maggie's feelings as she and Aaron were trying to go and search for him.
Yeah.
I still don't understand if that was the best way to approach that, because they did piss off a lot of fans. And when you add that in context to what happened recently in the finale, it's kind of adding this impression that they're really going for stunts. Even though I understand their story motivations, and I get that this is television and cliffhangers are a must in television to keep the story going and going, but a lot of it kind of felt a little disjointed in terms of their methods in doing that. Now, before we wrap around with Negan at the end, Rick, he's perfectly okay with murder.
Yeah, but I think he's more okay with it than the actual villain, himself.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there was a point in Hilltop where he killed someone who was attacking him, and then he got up and like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, which was a comic moment.
He's like, what? And he was perfectly,
drenched in blood.
Okay with it, it's just a typical day in the office for him. Versus all the people in the Hilltop, yeah, they've seen murder from the Saviors, but they haven't seen such savageness from Rick.
Right,
Yeah.
but he was very just not giving a fuck about the Alexandrians.
No.
Until he was proven wrong that they could stand up.
What did you think of the Carol and Morgan thing?
I loved it. I do, and I want to take this time to challenge people who think that it came out of nowhere. In the second half, especially if you go back to the second episode, JSS, Just Survive Somehow, when she was amazing episode where she was disguising herself as a wolf and she killed everybody off like that. That last scene where she's sitting on the porch smoking a cigar and breaking down and crying. Carol has been the same person in terms of her not being comfortable with killing. She's okay with it mentally, with the things that need to be done. That's why a lot of people like her character. But in every single episode,
look at the episode No Sanctuary.
Exactly.
The way that she blew up all that stuff, and then going from that kind of leap into somebody who's all of a sudden, morality challenged.
But the thing with Carol is she was never comfortable with killing, and that's something that people forget. She was comfortable in the idea that needs to be done to keep people safe. But her, especially as the numbers were doubling up, it wasn't healthy on her. And it was having an effect that she hadn't realized until Morgan with his whole all life is precious thing came in. And then she started questioning herself. And she was uncomfortable with killing people, especially once she started to see it backfiring on her. When she killed that wolf after he apparently turned good or whatever. After the whole thing with almost killing Morgan when she didn't want to in order to protect other people. And then with her, I'm sure she blames herself with what happened with Sam. When she dropped that cookie on his grave, I'm sure it occurred to her, oh, wait, I'm kind of responsible because I kind of put that idea in Sam's head. Because
that's the reason why he flipped his shit,
And then when Alicia Witt's character, when she was held captive, she saw her future in that character. They had similar backgrounds in terms of family and how they were as people, and similar journeys to the point where Alicia Witt's character was not even fucking giving a fuck anymore. And Carol, even though she was acting like to play the part, but there was a lot of sincerity in that performance as well. Look, Carol, this is why I love her character, is that you never know where she's gonna go. And I feel you can do no wrong with her. And I really feel that the pairing up with her and Morgan was truly great, because I feel like I care more for Morgan because of the whole Carol dynamic.
Speaking of which, who the hell are those people that they met in the finale?
I think they're gonna be the comic version of the Kingdom. I did some research on that as to about what Robert Kirkman said about it, and I think that's going to be a big storyline for season 7, and they're pretty much another community aside from Hilltop and Negan. And so
are they affiliated with the Saviors, or
that remains to be seen. My gut says maybe not.
Because they seemed very Knights of the Round Table, Monty Python, Holy Grail kind of thing. Half of me likes him, half of me is pissed off about him. Okay. Because he is still morality grounded and all that stuff.
But we know why. We got that 90-minute episode, which was pretty amazing.
Yeah,
I love it.
But still, just the fact that he prevented a lot of shit from happening.
Exactly.
In a bad way. Mm-hmm.
But maybe there may be some more conflict. I mean, at the end, he did kill to save Carol, which is big for him, because they set up this season if Morgan kills, he'll go off the deep end. He didn't, so that could further that storyline going.
So that could embrace him kind of having a Rick mindset, but without the psychopath kind of aspect.
But I really love Morgan's presence because it's really just a breath of fresh air, especially when it's said that there's no more right. It's only you have to keep the wrong from pulling you down. And there's so much to be said for that because Rick just assumed, oh, Morgan, come on, you can't think of that anymore.
Oh, Morgan. Dun, 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 dun.
But then Morgan was right. I mean, eventually it's going to pull him down, and boy, did that happen in the finale, which we have to get to right now.
Oh,
you want to go ahead and go, Mr. Negan?
Oh, the finale, man. They took it like a champ.
Exactly.
You know, this is the moment that a lot of people have been waiting for. The arrival of this character. I mean, his presence is so big, you're kind of waiting for him to appear since the first episode.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how big his presence is, even though we have not seen...
As someone who's seen the show from the first episode.
Yeah. I've heard things. I've read, issue 100, which is the biggest issue in the comic books, which was Negan's arrival.
Right.
I was just like, oh my god, I can't wait to see them. And then the governor happened, and then I'm like, this shit. If the governor is this bad in the show, I want to see how bad Negan is gonna be. But the thing about Negan though is that you can't help but like him.
I mean, I liked him, but I was definitely more terrified of him.
Yeah.
Especially in that 11-minute monologue.
Yeah, which is, I think, the biggest monologue in the series.
Probably
so. They did not dare cut to commercial, that 11-minute break. Because there's a 7 to 6 minute mark where they hit the commercial. Mm-hmm. That 11 minutes, they just let it run because they wouldn't dare, interrupt that moment.
Exactly.
And I think that, overall, I think that I can't wait to see what Jeffrey Dean Morgan has in store for Negan in the next coming seasons.
Well, what did you make of the cliffhanger?
I liked it. I'm siding with was it Scott Gimple, that this was Rick's character arc this entire season, seeing him go from this cocky oh, I am the badass of this.
Just how the episode started, like when with Austin Nichols' character, I think it was Spencer asked him, so if the saviors come, what do we tell them? Tell them to wait for me. I got a deal for him.
Yeah.
Like from that moment,
and then all of a sudden, when
that face, man,
that I give Andrew Lincoln a lot of credit. He is an amazing.
He looks so defeated.
Not only defeated, but he looks like he's almost gonna shit his pants.
Right.
And when Negan came out, he says, Have you guys pissed your pants yet? And just all that stuff. I think he was like talking to the audience, kind of.
Yeah.
Even though it is, word for word the exact monologue from the comic book, except without the fucks.
Yes.
But overall, just seeing, the terrified face that that Rick had. He's just saying, my God, this is the worst of the worst. We thought that the people of Woodbury, we thought that the governor's people was bad, we thought that the people of Terminus was bad. No,
they ain't got shit.
They ain't got shit. Yeah, and just the the fact that I wiped them out easily at that watchtower. No, this right here is the fucking real deal.
Exactly.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Even though I've seen 11 minutes of you, you are phenomenal as Negan, sir. Good job.
Couple of things to clean up for this season. So Rick and Michonne.
You mean Rishon?
Rishon finally happened, which I thought was natural.
It was bound to happen, and I'm just glad to see it happen finally instead of them teasing it for a couple more seasons.
It should be interesting how that's going to develop in the 7th season. I can imagine Michonne may be a little pissed with Rick.
Yeah, she's like, look what you did. Look what you fucking did. Thanks a lot, Matt. Get your shit together.
Oh my god. All right, Carl.
Where's your dictatorship now?
Carl and Enid.
You mean Patchy the Pirate?
Yes.
I think I ship them. Enid and Carl and all that stuff.
Enid's cool.
It's at first, her character pissed me off. It was like, that...
She was kind of like...
It was that...
Negasonic Teenage Warhead?
No, it was that... No, I liked Negasonic Teenage Warhead. She was like that angsty teen that, she was like Anakin Skywalker in retrospect from the prequels. like the angsty teen, like, oh, you don't know me, you don't understand me. But then all of a sudden, boom, you get her story, you get everything like that. I love the relationship that she had with Glenn and Maggie, and I love how she's become the surrogate Sophia. You know, so I love that kind of aspect. I love everything that's going on with it, and so I think I want to see more of Enid.
Sasha and Abraham,
dude.
Wow.
Black, never has black and white look good. You know, I'm just saying that much. Well, it was kind of out of the blue. I'm kind of still adjusting to it.
No. Come on. Abraham and Sasha was more out of the blue than Rashomon. Come on.
But the thing is,
no one saw this coming.
Abraham explained it perfectly with Rosita and all that stuff. You know, when I fell in love with you, you were the only girl on earth.
Wow.
You know, so you know that kind of thing. Which I don't know why Christian Cerdos is a gorgeous, you know, thing.
No, but they set it up really nicely. You really fell in love with the allure of Sasha, and the thing is that they both suffer a kind of soldier mentality. Sasha's big thing in season 5 was that she was suffering from PTSD. Abraham, who was a former soldier, must have been going through that. So I think there's a more kind of
like a more of a platonic kind of thing going on.
What about Daryl this season?
He was Daryl. I really loved the dynamic that he had with Denise. Mm-hmm. I think that was an extraordinary thing, you know, going on until her death.
And I really love Merritt Weaver as Denise. I mean, she was a good addition.
Yeah,
to the show.
she was like that. She was like that homestead, you know, kind of a North Carolina kind of woman, and then. And then her and Tara, you know, just the way that they interacted with each other.
I want to give a shout out to Deanna because I really loved her character.
She was very motherly.
And Tova, who played Deanna, was a great performance. And all up until the end, I loved how she, at the very end, she was like the true ideal transformed Alexandrian. Somebody who was stuck in the past, but who flipped the script and went out here to save Rick. Do you have any particular favorite episodes for season 6?
Okay, first off, Last Day on Earth. Fantastic episode. I really love the mid-season opener.
That was my favorite this season.
That was an amazing thing. I love the opening the first episode of the season. That was really good. I love the you know, in terms of the standoff, I love the thing on the standoff between Abraham, Sasha, and Daryl against the Saviors and that kind of thing. That was one of the most intense things in the whole series. Pretty good, solid season. It's not my favorite season, you know, overall. It has enough good shit in it.
My favorite episodes, JSS, Just Survived Somehow, and Carol went all badass. I really love the mid-season opener. That was one of the quintessential Walking Dead episodes. And then the whole Carol Maggie episode, I really was a big fan of that. And I was really on the edge of I jumped out of my seat because I thought like Carol was a goner for a minute there. I didn't drop my Pop-Tart, okay? So don't start making those connections. You know who I'm talking about.
How are you, Alexis?
But here's where I agree with you. I feel season 6 wasn't the best season. I think it was... Mm-hmm. I want to say maybe even 5 was better because I think 5 was more solid.
I think that was a hell of a ride. You know, season 6.
Let's wrap it up right now. Well, The Walking Dead season 6 was, you know, a worthwhile season, obviously, with outstanding episodes. Maybe not as solid or as flowing as we would have wanted it to be, but we both enjoyed it very well.
Oh yeah, definitely, and I can't wait for season 7, which we have to wait till freaking October to see. Fucking hell.
We'll have a lot of things to do before then. So Kyle, thank you for being here. I'm Alexis, and this is the Berlin News Crew, the place for all things movie news and reviews.